Is there anybody who actually congratulated the MC and the moderator for the work they did yesterday? Who were here yesterday? I saw one. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We want to begin this day, and it is in order for me to begin by welcoming you once again to this LRC hall, to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. And it is also good to ask you to feel at home. This is your home. And for those of us who are in high school, for those of us who are aspiring to join the university, Catholic University is the place to be. So I hope as we are here, we aspire to come to join Catholic University. Even those who are already doing the other things, there are so many courses, part-time and all that, you can join as you work. So Catholic University is a place to be. And as Christians, because now I see majority are Christians, this is our institution, and it is an institution for everyone. Everyone. So may I take this opportunity to welcome you once again and to thank you for coming again. We welcome you, feel at home. In the program of today, we are beginning with Reverend Bishop Alfred Rotich, one of our own bishop, who is very passionate on the handshake, the peace building, the harmony, and all that. And he's very punctual. He's already with us, but in short a while he will be here to give us remarks. So you are most welcome, and I know that St. Francis of Assisi might be smiling where he is to see the young people following his steps of keeping environment clean, keeping peace, and negotiating if there are problems in schools that no longer want to strike. Even the youth groups normally strike against their parish priest. I've seen some youth group doing that. But we are calling each one and everyone that we act responsibly. I keep on telling people that rights goes with responsibility. So you are most welcome. And to begin with, I see it's very far. To begin with, I ask you to feel at home, and we open with a prayer, And after that, our MC will tell us what will.
Let us hold our hands together. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All-powerful God, you are present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty and show your beauty to people, not pollution or destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Who has a very good style of welcoming the student? Any one of the students who can welcome our bishop? Yes, there is one. Come. This side. Okay. I will ask. You have seen one?
Yes, here.
Good.
She's here.
Good.
When you are lifting your hand, make sure it is straight.
And you make us give a very hearty clap also, so that he feel welcome. And once again, I'm saying Catholic University is the place to be. For those of us who are aspiring to further their studies, you are most welcome.
5 claps, 4, 3, 2, 1. One, two, three. Thank you.
Chai! Welcome.
Mary Kerigo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I can see all of us are smiling. We thank God for that.
Good morning. Good morning once again. All protocol observed. We are here this morning to continue with our theme and our reflection and our prayer that we may become people who are committed to preserving the environment for peace. And our theme continues, connecting the dots between human rights and the Sustainable Development Goals. This is none other than Right Reverend Bishop Rotich, who is here with us today. We are ready to welcome him. We are ready to listen to him. We are ready to share his vision the vision of preserving the world, and especially our society in Kenya and beyond, in the spirit of peace. Let us once again start and welcome him as he comes to share with us his few thoughts. May we all start and we clap for him as he comes forward to share with us. Nyingine. Wakati nakuja tumkaribishe, tumwambie karibu. Sisi vijana tuko tayari kukusikiliza kwa makini na kwa upendo. Asante sana. Thank you.
This morning, I'm the happiest person. I'm sure you have a degree of happiness, but mine is greater because I'm looking at you and you're looking at me. But I'm happy many years ago, about some 38 years ago, this university was just taking root. And I was just across at St. Thomas. When this area, we were being told to preserve, we did not know what would take place in the coming years. And I think in 1982, 83, we saw the breaking of the ground of this university. And now, those 30 many years, I see a great edifice, a university of Eastern Africa, a place where young people come in, day out, churning out, listening, discerning, and going to implement what they have learned. So I'm the happiest person to see this, to come to this center, and mostly even now the resource center. I've been seeing it in the news when great leaders come here. We see it on the television, and I wonder who was the artist. And I keep on looking at the structure. And I thank God because giving from a child who is taught algebra in primary school to secondary school, to the university becomes an architect and brings this vision. See how mathematics works to preserve environment. See how science works. And interpreting mostly the mind of God. So I thank you, Father. I thank you, the organizers. I thank the young people. When the young people stood to greet me, I just ran on the staircase very fast. And it reminds me again when I was acting on stage, especially the few books that were written that time, and when the time comes for you to appear, sometimes you are the main actor, sometimes you are one of the actors. So I hope I'll use this stage this morning and to bring in and out a message that young people will interrogate, will make discernments and pray about it and go to implement. I thank you for calling me. Not that I have great things to offer, but what I know is that I can share one or two things with young people and also the not so young, but chiefly the young people. I was born myself when I was very young. I was very young. I was young. And I thank God for giving me the environment, firstly at home, in the village, in the primary school, secondary school, and in the seminary, and furthering our studies, and places where I've been working. I have found happiness. I have found a conducive environment for my growth. And so when I come to you, I bring that experience. And of course, I have found challenges that has provided an opportunity for me to bring that experience of peace. Sharing with Father, you mentioned, as you know, I was once a chaplain in the military, KDF, and it gave me an opportunity to cut across and discuss with people on forum like this, and most especially the young people, to tell them that peace is very important. Peace. So, in the few minutes that you have with me, I want to introduce myself and also introduce what I'm going to use. You saw me carrying this. You thought it belongs to the maybe architectural science. It's not like the what you call the pair of compass, nothing. But this is something that has helped me to display the message of the scripture. So in a while I'll share with you, and you may have seen it in the media when I was called in the morning, you know, Rauka, when they were praying on a Sunday. Then I passed the message after my reflection. So let me greet you. Good morning. And how are you? You're fine?
Yes.
Right. So I want to know whether you're happy. And when you're happy, show me by a clap. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. You know, I went to a classroom the other day and I asked the children to clap if you're happy. And they were all clapping. But in my training, I want to interact with you to see your face. Truly, when you're clapping in your face, if you're happy and you know, clap your hands. So there were children who were clapping their hands, but their faces were downcast. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. Then I walked to the children and I said, good morning, how are you? Then I saw tears coming. And I said, these tears is coming from a child a while ago clapping, and I'm singing a song, if you are happy, if you are happy, clap your hands. So after the session, then we brought the children plus some others and we inquired what was happening in their lives. And we discovered why they were in tears. But because they came to a session And the teacher is saying, if you're happy, clap your hands. Then they clap. And for sure, they were happy to see the teacher. They were happy to see me. I just want to interact with you that when we are talking about peace, the environment, please be in touch with what hurts you most. You woke up this morning and you came to this session, and perhaps there is one or two things in your life that you are not happy about. There is something that perhaps was done to you. And perhaps there is a friend who hurt you last night, maybe in the dining hall or in the social places or at home. You find a noisy environment, you cannot do your studies well. There is a person, maybe of an adult, who is an alcoholic. Na akija nyumbani, then we duck. And that hurts me. So here I am talking about peace. I would like also to share with you, do you have, when I say, how are you? Perhaps there is something that hurts you and you have not brought it out. Please, for a moment, tear a piece of paper, just a piece of paper, just a piece of paper. Write what hurts you most. Just write something. Just write. There are 10 issues, write them. But don't write your name, because the paper will be brought here to me for that, so that I can discern and look at them, and perhaps at the end of the day you would have created an environment of peace. So look at your own environment, and that environment is your heart, it is your life. For fine time, and like many times when you are defeated by a mathematical problem, you ask your friend, how is it being done? Don't ask anybody, because this is yours. Yes. Am I understood? Right? What hurts you most? What do you feel is hurting in your life? Is that an issue? Is there an issue or a person that causes trouble? Don't write your name, just pick a piece of paper, use your pencil or pen, and write them freely. It's you alone. And if you don't have a pen and paper, just wait for the other person to finish and then you forward them here. I give you 2 minutes, please. It is yours alone. It's yours alone. And be open. Be open. Yeah. If you had not had the opportunity, perhaps you can write it down. Okay. Yes, and then I think we need a place where I can house them. I can house them in a small piece of. Thank you very much. Yes. I need a small envelope there. You see how I am carrying your issues? They are quite heavy. Yes, wait. I'll place them here until I get something to house them. But thank you very much for being courageous. Being courageous. Yes. Just lift that. Thank you. Yes, I can see a very nice shopping bag there. Very nice. We'll all settle them in and I'll walk with it. You allow me to sample 1 to 10, okay? Because they are not from, I will not read the name, okay? All right? You allow me to sample 1 to 10 because if I took time to go through each, it will take the whole day, isn't it? So you allow me to sample, all right? And then I discuss. If I had a laptop, I would read them and type them and then post it on the screen, okay? Not because this is an issue. I just want to say it's an issue. Are we in agreement? Yes. All right. Are you praying that yours will be read? And don't tell anybody that this was yours, eh? Just keep on. And then I'll return. Yes. 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 And don't be afraid. I also did for married couples. And the married couples had their own, some are married 50 years, some are 20 years. Still they have something in themselves. And you'll be glad to know that they have been together for 50 years and they don't want to leave one another because those are differences. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I still need 2. Yes. 10. So I want to identify, and when I say in the room, and I say, I feel discriminated. I feel discriminated. Can you write it down? In your book, I feel. So there is somebody or some people in this house. Can you see? I feel discriminated. Second, I have had with issues about unemployment. I have some expectations. I feel hurt when I have given a task and what comes to me is a frustration. So I am frustrated. And what causes my frustration is, like the other person saying, discriminated. I am undermined. Yes, I feel I'm looked down upon, looked down upon. I find the issue of corruption, it troubles me. And one area that comes first in my life is the drug. Drugs in my life. What makes me sad is issues about cheating, meaning dishonesty, lack of responsibility, that is irresponsibility, issues about justice, injustices, and more so when people use sarcasm. I feel terrible, I feel hurt. When I get to a place and I'm late, maybe a lecture room, maybe the place of worship, maybe at home, late coming. What hurts me most again is judgmental, people who are judgmental, perhaps basing their judgment on creed, or classes, or where you come from. What also hurts me is greed in the society and disobedience. I hope the secretary also is helping me to write this so that I can go through it. Yes, what hurts me most is instability in the family. Instability in the family. Yes, I have a vision to do good and even to study more, but I have no chance to get it to a higher institution of learning, i.e. university. What hurts me most is to be present when the people I love hurting themselves. It could be brothers, it could be parents, but to stand looking at people whom I love hurting themselves and destroying themselves. Not only hurting, but destroying themselves. I feel hurt when I had to intervene where maybe there is a fight or a struggle or a person who has done wrong and I step in. Then at the end of the day, I go over and over it and it hurts me. I come from a divorced family, or some 10 years ago. I experienced separation. Because I have a long way to go. That means I feel I am young, but there's something that happened. There's a disability in the family, the instability because of separation caused by divorce. I lost my loved ones. And because I lost my loved ones, I end up associating with the wrong people. There are times when I'm full of lies. I don't like lies, but sometimes I enter into those areas and I get disappointed. Yes? Do I pick more or we use this term? I think it is important that we have this. It cuts across. So, you listening to I expressing myself or using this as the chief actor. Out there in the community where I live, where I stay, whether in the school, there's somebody who is being discriminated, there's somebody who feels that there is injustice, there's somebody who is saying, I am hurt, but nobody is listening to me. There are many issues in my life, be it at home, in the workplace, especially as a young person within my environment. And that environment is not peaceful because I am disappointed, I am frustrated, I am looked down upon by my peers and I feel disappointed and I join the wrong community. And this perhaps maybe I have entered into areas of lies, dishonesty, corruption, and also lying. This causes desolation. So, if you and I have to stand in a community or to project peace to the society, like I am projecting now on the screen what is in my heart, and if 10 people or 20 people project the same, then you find that we are living in an environment that is not peaceful because I'm hurt. When I'm disappointed, what happens? When I'm frustrated, what happens? So it is important for us to house this scenario, and glad your openness that from now on, perhaps I need to journey and to find a way, a peaceful way. How do I then interact with a session that will intervene in my life so that at the end, as a goal, I can achieve that which I desire because somebody has assisted, a group have come in, like now, into your environment and look at your environment like today as if I was looking at this paper as your life. You see, this is your life now. How can we make intervention as a way forward? How can we enter at the center of the stage of your life and make it peaceful so that your disappointments will be a joy, your frustrations, the lack of appreciation may then set your person to really grow. So then, how many of our young people are going through the same? Children. primary school kids, secondary school, college students, the young adults. And they carry this burden. Can you imagine this burden as they go in life? And they go to session that they're going to talk about peace. They go to session that but nobody understands them, or they have not downloaded these issues as you have done this morning and say, let us address it. So the first thing in promotion of peace is to sit down like you did in a hall, in a peaceful environment of this university, of our institutions, and look at what is in my heart. Those of you who are the university, the freshers, granted that, yes, this is a Christian university and also public, and I'm sure in these days they take time. It's not just introducing you to the environment, that this is the common hall, this is the lecture hall, these are the labs, these are the stages, this is a prayer. No. But to sit with you and accompany you so that you are able to settle in an environment of peace. Perhaps where you're coming from disappointments. There was lack of school fees as you struggle. There is separation in the family. There is drugs. Your brothers and sisters, and perhaps your parents and even uncles are not supportive because they have entered into areas of drugs or alcoholism. And these are things that disappoint. So I want to call upon the young people, before I mention a few things, before I listen to you in the question, is that spend time now in an environment, a peaceful environment. Move from where there is desolation. Ask the question, or let your issue be understood in an environment like this, say on the weekend or over holidays. Now the same issue is not recurring all the time without being addressed. And that is why in the faith community there are churches, there are chapels, there are halls, in our universities, in our schools. When the schools are closed, this could be an opportunity for the faith community to journey with the young people and to have a program for them. So you enter into that program yourself, and knowingly that during holidays or on weekdays, I need to address this issue. Somebody has to journey with me. And you find out. And I want to thank you, the organizers, for bringing the young people so that they see their environment, the psychological environment, that environment that is invisible, but is visible when it is triggered by issues. Say, for example, violence. If I live in a violent environment and yet I am not solved, I am not peaceful myself, so I step in and become a collaborator and become a cooperator, an accomplice of issues that perhaps I would have learned and also needed intervention before I ran into the problem. So there are issues, and they don't feel only this bad. Imagine the population of the young people in this country. Why I am doing this is because it is my responsibility. And I want to give you one example. I got an opportunity to be a council member in a university for many years. And day in, day out, I was writing reports, being the chair of grievances and appeals. Everybody was coming to me, the professors, the lecturers, the students, about examination mismanagement. During examination, they were found stealing, you know. And I asked myself, why is a student trying to steal answers, you know, from the other one? You know? Then I sat down and saw that, yes, the student or the child has not been accompanied from beginning to depend on himself to have a basis, a peaceful environment where the child can do his or her homework at home peacefully. And perhaps when she is walking or he is walking to the examination, has a peaceful environment and can be able to remember A, B, C, D, and then write the examination as an independent person who is willing now to move to the next thing. But this relying on the other one and using the eyes to pick from the other person is, what is it? Perhaps dishonesty was not taught to the person. It was not a peaceful environment. And then now, the child who is now coming before me is at the university. And now, is there an issue? Then we walk that route and we find that that value perhaps was not housed in there where he's coming from. Maybe primary school, maybe secondary school. Look at punctuality. The punctuality not necessarily to attend classroom, but punctuality to say present. I am present. I am in school. And when I am told, then I feel hurt because at home I've been caned, I've been late because I am the one who is milking, I am the one who is told to go to Usaga Unga, I am the one who is being told to do A, B, C, D. So I am late all the time. And when I get here, and perhaps this morning when I was coming to examination, I got a little bit late. So I got angry, and therefore I said, I'm not going to write anything. Can you see that environment is promoting something that is called violent, is violent. So that is an example in my duties. And I want to give you an example. I was the chairman of the school board, and I'm given a school, and I'm told you'll be the chair of the board. But the board is not just sitting because it is us. We have to meet the students. Here I walked to the dormitory. Being the first day, I wanted to check on how is the school that I've been given. So I walked to the dormitory and I check on the cleanliness. You can see the double-decker, whether it is new. And just across I saw there is what they call an element. I think something used to be boiled for boiling water. And when I look at the socket, it was empty. In fact, it was dangerous for the school. So I said, Mwalimu, hebu tuangalie hiyo, to fix it fast. I know you have not gone through boarding schools, have you? So then I check. And then I brought the report and I said, and I put the school in assembly. we stood together and I said, good morning, school. And I was introduced as the new chairman, and then I stepped in. Meaning, and I'll come back to stepping in, intervention are very necessary. You step in order to solve the problem. Because I have identified the problem, and I went to the dining hall, and I had to fold my trousers this way because the dining hall was full of water. And there were potholes in the dining hall. So I had to walk like this, and I called the school, can we sweep? And we swept the dining hall with the students, because this is what I was saying, let us intervene. So then I spoke to the school, I said, school, I need a new school. Can we sing a song? And this song is, we are going to have a new school. And indeed, with the students, with the teachers, we had a school. I don't tell you where it is, but when I passed by there, I saluted and I blessed it, because they changed. And you know, I sat in an interview one day, here in one of the ministries. They were being interviewed as cadets. And there came one of the who applied, and I was in the panel. And the chairman asked, do you know any member here present? He said, Bishop Rotich. He said, I asked him, where did we meet? He said, I was in school A. What did I tell you? He said, I need a new school, a clean school, a new school. And you know, he was being employed for public health. Public health. So I was preparing him. If he becomes a PS later on of the Ministry of Health, already we had intervened in his life. I am bringing this so that you get back to your environment, whether it is at the university, whether it is in the secondary school, that is a peaceful environment. When there is peace in the environment, in my heart, then I contribute towards the peace in the environment. And of course, we need to be facilitated. So those were the small few examples, leave alone the one of medical school, and also an opportunity to get to one of the universities recently to do a report. You know, we looked at the halls of residence, and we found, where are the students staying? They were all gone. They were living in town. Why? Then that was a question that is being interrogated now, and the freshers and new students need to know that when they get to the university, they need to, or colleges, they make their environment clean and habitable for the purposes of generations to come, for themselves and for others. I just want to pause in there, because I have given you a very hard task this morning. Perhaps you wanted to hear about the United Nations Environmental Program. And I find necessary to go this route, so that when we have internalized and we project that peace in me, that when I am told, if you're happy and you know, clap my hands. I don't want to clap my hands when I know I am not happy. So I show it, I communicate, not in a violent way, but by writing it and let it be known, so that at the end of the day, it is being addressed. Like you did very well, you were clapping, isn't it? We were clapping, even including me. If you're happy, clap your hands. Clap. If you're happy, clap your hands. But the first paper is, I am disappointed, but I'm clapping my hands. I am looked down by my friends. I am hurting and hurting very much. The people who destroy my life, and and I'm clapping my hand. When the politicians come and they say, let us go, we join them. And we pull the stone and come and we run and go, we are there. When they come to our estates and our schools, when they say, let's strike, we go. When the teachers say, let's go. And yet, I have abandoned. Nobody is solving my problem. Nobody is looking at my problem. And I want to sing a song. You like songs? Yes. There was a song which I was taught in Standard 5 by one of the music teachers. Maybe they were trying to sharpen my voice. And it was sung by the people in America. That time they were Negroes, now it's black Americans. During slave trade. And they were in the plantation. And they had a problem. And I want those who are doing literature in the future to look into this song. And then they were saying, maybe you know the song. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh yes, Lord, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrows. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm now translated. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm low, sometimes I'm suffering, but nobody knows my sorrows. And it was a message to the employer. And they were doing like this when they were on a big plantation. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh yes, Lord, nobody knows my sorrows. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Glory, hallelujah. Have you found mothers singing in the kitchen? Have you heard mothers singing in the kitchen? Have you heard yourself when you are singing, you being sent and you don't like going there and you sing a song? Have you heard yourself singing? Yes. It is saying something and you sing a song that is related to it. It is related to an aspect, what you are going through. So when this slave is singing, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody. I'm disappointed, frustrated. The goodness is that he is singing it out, so it helps him. But many a time, we close in when we have troubles, and we try to solve them, we are not getting any solution, then we become even depressed because nobody has listened to us. And that is why now we want to apply your faith, that there is an environment, there is an open environment, when you can come and say, like now you say, yes, when I was coming here, I could hear that song you were singing. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm disappointed by my friends. Oh yes, Lord, I'm going to the university, the Eastern University, and I sit down there and I clap my hands. When the people clap, I'll go to the lunch. and clap 5 times. But yes, I know nobody knows my soul. Nobody knows the trouble I see. The trouble I see, and you are seeing it. So, air it out. Would you like to know what happens with this stick? But before I get there, I need to say a few things. So I know when you talk about peace, as a university, as a college, as a student, you need to look and Google and go to the books and discover that there is a wealth of knowledge every day when it comes to the promotion of peace, because I am a member of Justice and Peace in Kenya. Now, this book is called The Social Teaching. I know you may not get it in primary school or secondary school yet, but if you happen to have this at home, you can open a few pages and go to number 488 when it is talking about promotion of peace. So it is telling us that peace, before being God's gift to man, to you and me, and a human project, before it becomes our gift and also becomes our project for discussion in conformity with the divine plan, peace is the first place, a basic attribute of God. In the first place, before it becomes I own it, before even I discuss it in a seminar, it is an attribute of God Himself, meaning peace is another name of God. Can you see? So when you and I sit down to discuss about peace and how we can journey in an environment of peace, firstly, we must appreciate that God is the creator. God is peace. God is merciful. God is joy. And He gives this gift to us. And that's why when we build peace, when we talk about peace, is a journey that we want to go now to strategize and walk towards God, because God is peace. And where the peace is lacking is because we have not recognized that God is the center of our life, so that when I am low and when I am frustrated, when I am disappointed by my friends, my colleagues, when I go to home and there is a lot of noise from morning up to evening, from the time I went to primary school up to university, when I go home and there is no food, then I address it, I mention it to who? I direct it to God. And that is why the faith needs to be strengthened. So I cried to Him, and I said, sometimes I am happy, sometimes I am low, Lord. That is a man praying now. Sometimes I am disappointed, and you ask yourself, who is disappointing you? And you say, my parents, my job, lack of employment, lack of appreciation. And who is doing this? And you hear Him saying, come to me. For those who read the scriptures, come to me, all who labor. So basic thing is, before it becomes our gift as a human beings, and becomes a project for discussion even in the United Nations and even at the university, even in our school, in our country, the thing is, it is an attribute of God. The Lord is peace. The Lord is peace. That's why you find other people greeting each other. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you. So when people greet you, they are saying, God be with you. So, if we need peace then, in short, is to go to the center of peace and launch our problems there, sit there and launch your program and say, sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, I have frustration, I have problems, let them be sorted out at the center. And at the center is God Himself. So peace will be found then. And I'm using these 10 issues. Peace will be found on the primary relationship that exists between every human being and God Himself. Oh. So, if He's causing me, hurting me, she is hurting me, if we build a relationship within ourselves, then we are inviting a relationship with God, and we are bonded, and I can be understood, and you can already see. So I repeat again, peace is founded on the primary relationship that exists between every human being and God Himself. A relationship marked by when we do justice, when we do righteousness, when we are merciful, when we are peaceful. And of course, we want to hear, if there is relationship, what is the binding link in a relationship? Love? And I want to discuss with, I know I can see you may have come very early in the morning and perhaps you feel tired. Before I get there, I just want to ask that we please be upstanding. I know the rest, I know there are young people here. Could we stand please? Mwamisha yule mwingine. Waliamka mapema sana sababu tunaenda university. Let's sing. Yeah? Let us do some exercises now.
Now this one is challenging. Stay there for 2 seconds. Okay, go. Stay there. Go again. One. This side, more. There.
In a few minutes, then I show you some demonstration. So if it is a value and it is binding, it is bringing peace, a relationship between God, as we know it is an attribute of God, and if it is giving us peace, God is giving us as a gift and builds a relationship between you and me. That relationship, that binding, that tweak, that cement is called love. And therefore, the issues that you have brought, and it's only one, is involving relationship. Discrimination is a cry for justice. So in deep, you find this person saying, I am discriminated against. That means my relationship with so-and-so is not good. Or within the society, I need to be brought together because him and I belong to God. We are made in the image of God, and we are not relating well because he's looking down, discriminating me, or they are discriminating me, and I feel disturbed, I feel frustrated, I feel disappointed, and therefore all those feelings are looking for an answer, is a cry, and therefore I need to walk towards the center, and that center that brings all of us together in order to listen. What can we do? And that is exactly what we are saying. After we have identified an issue, what can we do? And that is the message of love. And that is why we are saying peace is a product, it is the fruit of our working. If this gentleman or this lady is encountering frustration, a relationship with so-and-so, and are being sent away, then how can we come together? So we must work together and work for this value. Let's go to find this value, and we'll find peace is a value. And if it is a value, then you and I are obligated, we have a common responsibility that even it takes not only local unity, but a universal. It is something that we own it, that it is our responsibility as a people to work for it. And this responsibility, duty, is founded on a rational and moral order of society that has its roots in God Himself. Yes, I know it's a little bit, but others can get it immediately. But let me put it to you, that if it is a value, we have a duty to work for it. And this value is based on even the values that you know. Even if you go to all our cultures, we still find it there that any society cannot or will not move if it has no order, moral order, the way they respect one another, love one another, and basic rights of individuals. When that has been established and become a truth, then you say we'll be establishing a just and peaceful society. So, you have read, and I just want to quote this, that peace is not merely the absence of war, nor can it be reduced solely to the maintenance of balance of power between enemies. That if I am frustrated and you say the people whom I loved and they are disappointing me, peace is not that, yes, we are about our duties every day. Can you see? duties every day. That in the home, yes, you will be running for water, but they're disappointing you. But there is something underneath. So we cannot just say peace is just that, what you call, not even a ceasefire, but just a temporarily way of doing things. But it is found on a correct understanding of the human person. So if we have to solve issues about peace, about justice, there must be love, there must be a relationship, and therefore we need to understand that each of these persons, the human person who is an actor, who is an agent to contribute as a duty towards the universal peace as a duty, has to be attended first. You have to look at the issues that are inherent, the things that are challenging this environment. By establishing now what I call in the beginning intervention, by stepping in order to understand what is it that is making this person not to love one another, what is making this person to hate, to be frustrated, and yet peace is supposed to be binding. So when you have found out the issue, then we need to work towards that peace, and you and I have to exercise that duty. So we relate. You say, I hurt you? You say, yes. How? Perhaps maybe when you say A, B, C, D. So you have a duty. So let's work around it so that at the end of the day, we are walking towards that peace, that value. And I'm sure those of you who have voiced these other issues will now begin to work at it. Now, it is also a fruit of justice. When you say, I feel there is injustices here, what can we do in order to bear that fruit of justice? What do? We promote human rights. We promote respect. We promote understanding, so that you find there's an equilibrium when you are on a seesaw, when it is not tilting towards one side. So there is balance. So you find people relating in that way. And peace also is also the fruit of love. Let me give you an example so that I can stop there for some moments. Now, having talked about peace, what is it? It's a name of God. It's an attribute of God. In Kenya, for the last 2 years, we realized as a people, as interreligious people, of all the faiths, and also Christians in ecumenism, that Kenya was beginning to have germs on viruses of conflict, of diseases called tribalism, corruption, name them. So we said, we listen to Kenyans, and when you go to each corner, you would collect how they were feeling at that moment. And the bishops of all, from NCCK, from the Catholic Church, interreligious, the Muslim, the evangelicals, the Hindus. We sat together in a forum. And we looked at the issues. And when we discussed them at the center round table, we found that there are issues about justice. There is injustices for many years. There are issues about discrimination. People are frustrated. And yet, we have a house like this called Parliament. And we have leaders, even in the counties. Are they being addressed? Then we say, let's have that opportunity, and we called it a multi-sectoral. So they came to us, and they were seated like you, and we said, each and every one of you, we give you the microphone, just air what you want to say. And they brought in thousands of issues. And then we sampled them. And then, of course, technically we had to look at them. And they were bordering on issues that concerns relationships. How can we relate together as Kenyans? How can we live together as Kenyans? How can we sit together as Kenyans in workplace, in the schools, in business, in our social environment? So when we had listened to them all, then we concisely put it in a document, and we issued a letter both to the presidency, to Parliament, and to all sectors of government and civil society, working together. Intervention, because the politicians were now want to be elected as a president, the governor, the MCA. We said we cannot do this in a very hateful environment. So why don't we set an environment of peace? So then, dutifully, a group, the bishops and the religious people, set out to listen, and we said we knocked at the door of the politician. That time we went to Jubilee. They welcomed us. We went to others with the politicians of all shades, like NASA. They opened the door. So we said, let us sit down together. And we sat down together for many hours, But the first thing that we did was to give a reflection from the scripture. And we said, in order to bring Kenya together, in order to have a peaceful environment, we need now to listen to the issues. And we opened for all of us, if you have a Bible, it is, you have a Bible, Ezekiel chapter 37, Ezekiel 37, verses 15 to 24. Can we open there, or you are Googling? And I would like somebody to read so that I can demonstrate to you verses 15 to 24.
The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, take a stick and write on it.
Okay, put your mind this way and say, the word of God. Okay, so then you take your time, but read it naturally as you have started. Okay, go on.
The word of the Lord came to me.
But not on your, so that we can hear the word of God.
The word of the Lord came to me. The word of the Lord came to me. The word of the Lord came to me.
No, really, you have the voice. I'm not discouraging you. Read it. Don't hear any other voice. Read it naturally, but with strength. The word of the Lord came to me. Don't read it. Just read it.
The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, take a stick and write on it. For Judah and the children of Israel associated with him. Then take another stick and write upon it.
Okay. The word of the Lord came to me.